What's going on, my friend? It's Jeff Newport from ChasingStrength.com. And in today's video, we are going to discuss how you can use your kettlebells to train for strength and lose fat at the same time. And by fat, I mean lots of fat. So let's get into it. This is turning out to be the third part in a apparent video series that I didn't intentionally set about to make, but just so happened to fall in line that way. And in the last two videos, we talked about recomping or recomposition training, and that's the stripping off of body fat and building muscle or getting stronger simultaneously. And by simultaneously, again, I mean in the same training block, not at the same precise moment, for those of you who like to be pedantic and you know who you are. And then in the last video, we talked about fat loss training, focusing on stripping off body fat because body fat actually inhibits strength gains, right, and muscle mass gains. And I alluded to the fact in the last video that you can dump body fat. You can dump body fat and simultaneously get measurably, noticeably stronger when you program your training correctly. Okay, so how do we do this? We're going to use a three-pronged approach, right? So kind of like, what does that look like? It looks kind of like this, right? If I can get maybe almost like a trident or something, right? I guess. So the very first thing we're going to do is we are going to address our training. Okay, what is our training going to look like? We are going to lift heavy. Okay, we are going to lift explosively, right? So no light kettlebells here for the heavy stuff. We'll need some medium to light kettlebells, possibly, if we're going to lift explosively. All right. We are going to recruit the energy hungry, fast twitch muscle fibers, the 2X and 2B fibers, right? And we're going to do that using incomplete rest. So we're not going to train specifically like sprinters or shot putters or even Olympic lifters where we have complete rest between sets. We are going to make them incomplete. Okay. So, but we're not going to use that nonsensical, chronic mouth breathing, tongue hanging out of your mouth, right? Lolling in the air, rest periods, right? So I'm not talking about bend over, grab your shorts and suck wind type rest periods, okay? Done correctly. Research by Dr. William Kramer and his colleagues over the last nearly 20 years seems to indicate that training in this manner produces an acute post-workout testosterone increase. And if you recall from our last videos, testosterone is the primary male anabolic muscle building, strength getting hormone. Okay. Now, it also conveniently helps you burn fat. Now, I will admit freely that if you go do your research, the research is still out as to whether or not this temporary acute increase actually increases, or increase in T, actually increases or directly increases your strength in your muscle, right? Muscle mass and strips off body fat. So Kramer and his colleagues are definitely pro that this does it. And there's another camp out there that's con. It says it has nothing to do with it. I don't know 100% who's correct, but I can tell you empirically from using my eyes over the last 15, 20 years and observing customer and client results that Kramer and his colleagues, Dr. Kramer, appear to be correct. All right. So when we are going to use the correct work to rest ratios, right, that's key, using the correct work to rest ratios, not just any slap bang work rest ratios or the chronically popular inverted work rest ratio where you rest less than you work. This particular style of training, trains the body or prompts the body, for lack of a better term, to secrete growth hormone, which is another one of your powerful anabolic hormones that burns fat and builds muscle. It's the one that Hollywood stars get caught with in airports, right? Because they want to increase their muscle mass and their youthful appearance. All right. So I think you guys might know who I'm talking about there. Yo, Adrian. Anyway, look, so finally, this particular type of training, when performed correctly, that is using the correct work to rest ratios and the right loads. So heavy and explosive, right? So heavy is heavy for you, and explosive means as fast as possible, as explosively as possible. And doing it for the right duration, it produces or increases EPOC, which is excess post-exercise oxygen consumption, right? There's a 2002 study done by Shunke, I think that's how you pronounce his name, and his colleagues, and they discovered that these type of energetically demanding workouts make your body burn 20% more calories at rest than normal for approximately 38 hours post-workout. All right. So, I mean, if you think about that, it's pretty cool. It's almost 2 whole days of extra calorie burning at rest. Now, I will say this, EPOC has fallen out of favor as a metabolic boosting mechanism lately. But quite frankly, I believe that that's because Schumke's protocols, or his very specific protocol he used to create his results, which was actually coincidentally, or not coincidentally, however you want to look at it, heavy and explosive, right, hasn't been mimicked. And so people have been claiming EPOC when they haven't been using his protocols, all right? So remember, EPOC from heavy and explosive, and that's what we're going to be using with our kettlebells. So that's point number 1, right? That's prong number 1, training. Prong number 2 is supportive nutrition. Now, I can probably hear you groan through the screen when I mention nutrition, because immediately you start thinking, or if you're like most people, you got to not eat this and not eat that and restrict this and restrict that. But I'm not talking more dieting stuff here, right? The truth is I rarely discuss diet, air quotes, there's our popular air quotes, right, or nutrition anymore, because it feels like, honestly, it just feels like arm twisting or bashing people over the head to me. But listen, this is a critical point for you to grab onto here. The difference between dieting and supportive nutrition is night and day. Dieting is associated with deprivation, okay? So you can think dieting equals deprivation, or as Garfield, the cat, likes to say, dieting is nothing more than diet with a silent T. I said that wrong. Die with a silent T. You get my point there, right? So, but supportive nutrition is actually quite the opposite. It's all about energy management and resource allocation. So let me quickly explain our terms here. When you go on a diet, you are immediately faced with all the things that you cannot eat, right? Which of course makes you want to eat them even more. And so you do, right? And so then your diet fails, or you view yourself as failing on your diet. Then you repeat this cycle ad nauseum until you keep going in circles and finally giving up, right? Does that sound familiar? I bet it does. I think we've all been there. Now, supportive nutrition, by contrast, structures eating in such a way to keep your energy levels high while reversing fat storing negative feedback loops, freeing up more and more stored body fat to be used as fuel so your energy remains high. All right. So furthermore, supportive nutrition reboots healthy function of your body's cells and organs, reversing much of the disease states that you've accumulated by flooding those cells and organs with vitamins, minerals, and nutrients, which are the very things they need not only to survive, but to thrive. Okay. So again, focuses on keeping your energy levels high. Now, when it's set up correctly, a supportive nutrition plan increases your daily energy. It supports your strength and muscle gains and retrains your metabolism to run hot again, like it did when we were kids and you ran around eating pretty much whatever you want. Okay. And so next question, let me just address this right up front. No, you do not need to cut out whole food groups, right? Or whole macronutrient groups like carbs or fats. You can actually use them to your advantage when you know what you're doing and your supportive nutrition plan is set up accordingly. All right. So that's prong number 2, supportive nutrition. Prong number 3 is recovery. And this is something that most people rarely think about, let alone talk about. And that's because, well, I'm not really sure what that's because. Let's dive deeper into the recovery portion here, okay? Too many people fail to see the results from their workouts and their workout programs because they're not resting enough and recovering enough when they're not training / working out. So they're not providing enough stimulation for their body to change. Or B, they're not training hard enough when they're supposed to be working out. So they have enough energy to work out again when they should be resting. In fact, many folks, maybe even you, and I would pretty much say 90% of the population, maybe even as high as 95% of the population, would benefit from just 3 hard days a week of training / working out, right? Whatever you want to call it. So you grab your bells, you get after it, you get in, you get out, you get done, right? You eat, sleep, rest, recover, and repeat. Now, it's amazing how simple this process is, yet how many people want to overcomplicate it, all right? So that's really it. A 3-pronged approach to getting strong and stripping off fat, lots of fat, using your kettlebells, all right? So hopefully you found this helpful. If you want a strength-based kettlebell program that simultaneously strips off body fat and lots of it using the 3 prongs that we covered in this video, I'll leave a link down here in the description box. And in the meantime, if you found this video helpful, go ahead and click that like button. Click the subscribe button if you haven't already. Leave me a comment below. Tell me your thoughts, whether you agree or disagree. All right, we'll have a nice little conversation. And pass this along to a friend or family member who is trying to strip off some body fat and or who is using some kettlebells in order to do so. All right. And if they like it, right, have them pass it along and click the like button and the subscribe button and leave some comments. And that way we get the word out there of how to actually lose fat correctly, right, as opposed to the popular modern myths perpetuated by the fitness industry. Okay. So until next time, my friend, stay strong.